Hey folks, Matt Sharp here with another Pacific Angler Friday fishing report. We're filming for middle of October and you can see we've got a wider screen. We're doing things a little differently. Our head guide Jake has been out on the water a bunch and him and I were drinking beers and we thought we'd hit record and sit down with him. I want to pick his brain because I haven't been out fishing at the waters that he has as much as I used to. I want to pick his brain. I'm going to take you all along for the ride. So if you want to see more fishing reports like this, consider hitting the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let's get into it. Everybody, we've got Jake here. And Jake, you've been working with us for 3 years? Almost
3 and a bit.
Yeah.
3 and a bit, I think, yeah.
And you've been kind of behind the scenes, but just so everybody knows, as you all know, I guided a ton with Pacific Angler, did a bunch of work on the water as well as the retail side. And Jake has really taken a lot of that over for me. And I'd like to say that you're not doing as good a job as me, but in my heart, you're actually probably doing it a little bit better.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
You're focusing on it a little bit more. And I've got some guiding coming up in the next month. And you've been out a bunch. And I thought, heck, let's just stick you in front of the camera and let me ask you some questions. And hopefully everybody back at home might take something away from that. We're not going to get into too much detail. We're not going to go into spots. However, I did want to talk to Jake about what he might be doing differently, specifically on the Squamish. But I guess let's start off is what's going on in the Squamish. Jake, so you guys know, has been out a bunch in the last 2 weeks, including drifting basically from the top and to the bottom of the entire river. So what's it looking like right now?
So it's looking pretty good. It's shaping up. It's going to shape up well. There's lots of fish in there right now. Plenty of fish. The water, though, has been pretty muddy so far. You can tell there, if you've been up there, the Mud Creek slide, the road was taken out twice, and there's a lot pumping out through there. We did our first float that started all the way up at the Ilaho, and we went all the way to the Ashley, so we got to see all of it. And this was 2 weeks ago. And above Mud Creek, it definitely was a little bit clearer. And then once you got below a couple of those creeks, it started to definitely darken up a bit. For my first trip that I went on, I had the thought that maybe it would be a little bit clearer and I'd go up higher, just get above those creeks.
Yeah,
that was the theory, and it was the exact same from top to bottom. So it was coming from higher, it appeared. That being said, there's still fish around. We still did well. Obviously, the fly was a little bit tougher.
With the dirty water.
The dirty water, there was as much clarity. Bigger flies were working, but it was more you got to get it within a couple inches of them sometimes to get their attention, but big flashy flies were doing it. Cool. And once we got closer down towards the end, the river hasn't changed too much in terms of if you're going out there and rafting. It's taken a couple new paths, but nothing scared us. Nothing jumped out that wasn't obvious. There was a couple new avenues.
Anyone who's thinking about drifting the Squamish, it's a really cool thing to do. You've got to be safe and you've got to know what you're doing on the sticks. Mm-hmm. Jake and I have worked at it for years and we've bounced off a lot of the rocks and or logs in that river. However, if you want to tackle it, come in and talk to us. We're never going to give you specific spots on the river, but we'll get you into the game so you can be safe. And I think it's the coolest way to fish that river.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it gives you so much more volume, and also even when I'm walking wading, the things I gained from a few drifts are just hyper valuable. So
especially since the river up top does take some routes that get pretty far from the road, and the hike in can be worth it. You can hike into a lot of those runs and it's unbelievable. But if you get there one day and it's not the way it was the week before, the water's dropped a couple feet and it changes the pools completely, you've got a long walk back to the truck. Whereas with the raft, you can hop in and out pretty easy. Oh, it sucks. On to the next one. So
I've done that with clients where it's been like a 2-hour hike into the spot that was amazing last week. And then you look at it and you're like, I'm really sorry. We're doing a 4-hour hiking tour because the river changed, the river shifted. So think about that. I guess let's look at the weather because that's, if you guys fish the Sea to Sky corridor, we're going to talk about it a lot. It's super weather dependent. And
100%.
Basically, the guys and girls that can follow the weather the best are the folks that are going to have the best fishing. We pulled it up here. It looks a little bit interesting in a couple ways. Like, ironically, right now the water's super low, right?
Mhm.
Like, it's like height level is super low.
It's around 2 meters. It was 2 meters in the morning. I didn't actually check at the end of the day, but it appeared 2 meters. We were grinding it. We had some weight at the front of the raft, two guys up there, and the tailouts were a little bumpy for sure coming down them. But with that water dropping, it didn't clear. It cleared up a little bit compared to Friday.
Yeah,
but not as much as I thought it would have.
And so it got dirtier with the rain last week. Okay,
yeah, definitely got dirtier with it.
And I know you and a few of the boys were out right after that, and it was harder because of that dirtiness. And now it's still dirty, but clearing up a bit, eh? Yeah,
no, definitely. It's starting to clear up, and the fish are, like I said, the fish are there. It's just been a matter of getting their attention and getting in there.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, every now and then we'd throw in, as I call it, the cleanup stick. We'd throw the spoon through after we hit it with the fly, and we'd find the odd fish, making some noise back down there. But I
want to talk to you about that. You guys stick around. We'll talk about what Jake's using, and I will caveat with that Jake is a guide, so he's trying to find the most time-efficient way to cover the most water possible. But we'll talk you guys through that because it could be interesting. There's some strategies there that you might add into your game when you're trying to cover a lot of water, and or might avoid when you're stuck on one spot and you've got to spend there all day. We'll talk about those two strategies because we use those a lot when we're guiding, depending on what water we can get, where we can fish. And that's, for me, one of the fun parts of guiding is sort of those two gears. You know what I mean? Like, what gear are we going to put it in? I joke about, like, put on the tunes, and you're going to either put Bob Marley on or you're going to put Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
And Rage Against the Machine is one completely different strategy than the Bob Marley style of fishing. 100%. So we'll talk you guys through that, but let's just look quickly. So just so you guys know, we're filming for the 13th. I'm probably going to release this on like Monday, Tuesday. So a couple days after filming, but there's going to be a dump of water today. And then we're going to see a big dump of water on Monday, probably when we're releasing this, and then pretty consistent water. Nothing that's concerning me on the, like, oh, good God, Mud Creek is going to flood out again, but I'd still keep my eye on it Monday, depending on where it is. It is warm with 16 and 17s, and that kind of sucks. Like, I'd like to see this, like, highs of, like, 8 or 9 with a nighttime temperature of, like, 1 or 2, but we're going to have, like, 6s and 5s at the low end. Let's look at the 14-day and just see what we're rolling with here. Where is it? They keep changing this on me. It screws me up.
On Friday, there was a snow line up top.
So you could see overnight, that snow line. Yeah. That's an interesting one to look for. But yeah, unfortunately, through till next Monday, we're seeing a lot of rain and nothing cold. And I don't think this will do out past that. The interior, ironically, gets cold. Which is where the lake fishing and where I would like to see the cold as well. However, that looks like we're going to see dirty water for at least another 2 weeks.
Most likely. It doesn't seem like I've seen it flush out before, overnight almost it seems, but this is pretty steady and it hasn't. I've seen it happen almost in the day.
Yeah, but with nighttime temperatures at 5 or 6 degrees. We need to see it so anyway, that tells you if anyone's heading out, it's October 13th, like I said. So if anyone's heading out till the end of October, I think we're going to see dirty water, but we can fish dirty water. We just got to change the strategy, right? Yeah, definitely. You can. Like what we were doing with the fly, we just threw on essentially, you call it steelhead patterns almost, like just bright, like anything flashy. I guess when I first started fishing the muddier water more, there was one season, it was either last year or the year before, where it was like, it was just the norm. It was all it was. You were screwed on that. Sorry, I gotta grab my wine. I want to hear about this. Okay. The spoons were obviously working well. Yeah. They were doing fine. And I'm like, how can I, obviously it's pretty challenging to mimic the vibration and just noise that they make down below, but the visual of them, like in that you get some good sun going and it's in the mud, they're obviously seeing something down there, especially with a bright silver spoon flashing around. So essentially I just went, how can I mimic that in a fly? Yeah. So just tying up these big kind of like bull trout pattern, but just all flashaboo, all flash, like a little bit, obviously chartreuse is like with spoons and whatnot can be a killer for coho. So like chartreuse and a ton of flash,
big intruder style patterns.
Yeah.
And you can even swing them a bit with rabbit fur. You know, they get that swing.
I like rabbit in the tail. I remember back in the day, JT would fish like a huge purple, not flashy, sort of string leech thing in these conditions and did really well. And I could never replicate that, but ironically, in my tenure of guiding, there was like blowouts and then it would go low and clear, and that's like the other kiss of death. I'd almost take the dirty water over the extended low and clear, and that's when we got to get small. We got to get like hyper little itsy bitsy, even like throwing chartreuse out the window and going like purples and olives and like very drab colors. But yeah, right now big and flashy.
Yeah, it's a touch on what you just said there. It's a double-edged sword with the dirty water, the clear water. The clear water, it's great. They're going to see your fly 100%. But the con of it is it's got to be perfect. Everything's got to be perfect. You might even need to go to flora, like, you know, something longer leader and smaller. Whereas when it's muddy, they're not going to see it as often, and you're going to have to get in front of them and have something bigger. But they're going to be a little more comfortable. They're going to be more. If you get it near them, you're pretty likely to get that fish to bite. So
with the joke, and a bunch of my friends know, like a bunch of folks that I've guided with, that I've guided with a long time, they'll ask me, they'll be like, is it a Bob Marley day or is it Rage Against the Machine? And that like speaks, I think that's almost more important than the presentation or the technique. It's like knowing when to just go balls to the walls and really send it versus when to get chill and technical with a spot and relax on a spot and really get to know it. In this dirty water, I'd say it's Rage Against the Machine, right?
Oh, for sure. I had moments today. I think I had fellas today that were pretty mobile, because you'll have a moment where you'll see a run that, because it's early in the season, so I'm still kind of learning spots, and they change, like you said earlier, they change by the day with the water, where the fish will hold. And it'll look good when you're floating to it. I'm like, sweet, let's get out. And the second they take a step out and I stop the raft and I'm, nope, back in. Like, it just, let's not waste our time here. We've got other water to get on. Keep going. Like, it's, you just, or just drive-bys, just on the way by, see it, probe it.
Even for you fly guys, if you guys love fishing the sea to sky, buy like a good solid 8'6" spinning rod. It's my favorite thing to have in the car.
Oh yeah.
Because I can literally fish anywhere in the world with that 8'6" medium. I mean, barring trevally and, you know, sailfish. But like, blindfold me, give me one fishing rod. It's an 8.5'6" medium spinning rod. Ideally with something saltwater in case I can go saltwater. But like with that, I can find and learn about the water. And my goal is, we all know, same with you, you're a big fly guy, I'm a big fly guy, is like, we want to be fly fishing because, gosh, it's so much more fun. But like, if you're going out for your first day and you happen to have the spinning rod sitting in the car and you want to fish the fly, bring them both. Like, because you're going to hook more fish on the fly with that 8'6" spinning rod in your hand, learning water, figuring out where to go. And what would you say to that fly guy that he probably has that spinning rod, doesn't want to touch it? What would he put on it? It's pretty straightforward, right? Like,
oh, for sure, just a medium size, what would you call it, like 30, I guess Gibbs with the co-host spoons, 45, 35, 45, and a spinner. Yeah. You want a spinner as well, kind of similar size with the sizing of that.
Yeah, probably like a number 3, I think is the size, like reasonably large, but not like crazy large. And then color-wise, sea to sky, it's going to be chartreuses for sure.
Yeah.
Clear water is copper. I like copper personally.
Of the sea to sky, copper across the board.
When it's clear, or do you care?
All the time. I love it. Yeah. If it's super, super muddy, then flat, just get it as bright as you can. Like flashy silver, nickel.
Oranges.
Orange can be an absolute killer. Yeah.
I don't do well on orange on the sea to sky when it's clear.
No, me neither. Especially the some that have like the full orange, like that, the little strip. Great.
Yeah, that works. Yeah. But the full orange is, do not do it when it's clear on the Squamish, in my opinion. And yeah, I've been wrong. Yes, you can catch a fish on that, but I'm thinking you can catch 3 to 10 more if you're running something else.
And for the fly guy that is, a little more resistant to throwing that thing out there,
like you're curious.
Look at it. Yes, exactly. Look at it as a tool. Like,
Yeah.
don't look at it's not going to be your day. It's not going to be for during the scout that we did. That's exactly what it is, a scout.
Yeah.
Like, as much as we get to a hole that I'm like, wow, we could spend the whole day here without a problem. It's like, I got to get to the Ash Slough, and we're above Mud Creek right now.
That's what, just for reference, we'll put it up here. How many kilometers that is, I'll put it up here. But it's a big chunk of change when it comes to covering a river. And if you want to learn a river right, so pick your area that you can cover. And that could be a couple kilometers. That could be 10 kilometers. That could be the number right here, which I want to say is 25, something like that.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. We'll throw it up there and get it mapped out. But like, you just need to cover the most water you can, and then take that and be like, hey, I've got 4 hours. I'm going to hit one of those spots, or two of those spots, or three of those spots, and have that in your brain of your strategy. And that's, I hate to say it, like, as much as guiding can be wizardry at some points, it's really just a game of understanding that cover water management and then what to do when you're at the water. So
100%. That's the one kind of disadvantage to the raft is you can't go back.
Yes. You're committed.
You're committed, and you'll have a spot that you're like, oh, this is amazing, and you're doing well, but you're looking at the time in the fall, the sun goes down pretty early.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I know the next spot that we're getting to could be better. Like, it was better the day before. And then so you make the call, you're the fun police. You're like, sorry, get back in the raft. We're leaving.
Stop pulling on fish.
Yeah, we go ahead and get to the next spot, and then it could be great. It could be terrible. And the only crappy part of it is you can't go back up. So it's
people talk about the raft and interesting.
It's a lot of math going on at all times.
When I know the river, the walking weight is my favorite thing in the world.
Yes.
But when I have uncertainty of like, hey, has something changed? The conditions are different. Maybe it's been like 4 or 5 days since I've been on the water. Then the raft absolutely is the route to go, in my opinion. But those days where I'm like, I know where to go, the walking weight, actually, you can bounce between spots a little bit quicker. So I guess this is going to be a shameless pitch. If you guys want to get out with Jake and get on the water, we love geeking out on this stuff a lot. The drifts on the Squamish are something special, whether you're catching fish or not, because it's so beautiful out there. And we've got a program that I'd like to think does the best job at putting people on fish, or at least giving you the best opportunities, whether it's with our drive-by rod or getting really technical on some of the soft water with fly. So anyway, for going forward, Jake, I think that'll give the boys and girls a little bit of a something to play with when you're heading out the Squamish way. I'm glad you guys tuned through us drinking wine and talking about this, but I figured you guys should hear this. And I might bring Jake back. And so leave a comment down below if you think I should bring this loser back. By the way, his voice is trashed right now because he's been guiding and yelling at people for the last 3 days.
Have to do the reel. Don't look at the fish, reel. There you go. Never goes fly.
So his voice will be better on the next episode.
There's more excitement yelling.
Yeah.
No, I'm never mad at anyone. Just disappointed. That's all.
Anyway, guys, as always, if you want to see more reports like this, consider hitting the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll catch you in the next one.